This is Parked Media coming at you from Victoria Park in Ballarat for the final day of the Vic Open. We're situated at beautiful Victoria Park, right across the road from St Pat's College. School of champion distance runner Steve Monaghetti, Kyle Herbertson with me. How are you, Kyle?
I'm great, Ash. Thank you so much for dropping a name that I have no business knowing. Some names I do have business knowing, however, are who we're joined by today on our MPO chase card. We have Matthew Noblet, we've got Paddy Robinson, Jade Brady, and Chris Finn.
So tell me about Nobbles' bag. What do we got here?
Nobbles is throwing a lot of discraft, primarily Zeus's and Nukes off the tee. He'll be throwing a lot of his Caprap and Firebird as well, and putting with those special blend Lunas.
Paddy, wow, Paddy's got a lot of distance drivers. That's the first thing I noticed. Obviously sponsored by Latitude 64, so a lot of Ballista Pros in that bag. Havoc, which I know from Disc Golf Valley, and then moving down a few Justices rather, or a Justice, and the Daggers that he famously putts with.
Absolutely, yeah. A couple of famous discs there in Paddy's bag that we'll see get a workout. And speaking of famous discs, we've got Jade's bag, which reminds me an awful lot of stacks on the Discmania collector space, with some Luster PD2s in there, Luster MD that you'll be seeing a lot of.
And wow, that's this is an easy one for me to break down. Chris Finn going with the, I guess, the streamlined approach to what he's throwing today. A lot of white discs in there, which makes us very glad we've got this list.
Absolutely. We've got Luke Bain leading our division at the moment by a comfortable margin, and really it's just a competition for second we've got here.
And it's a tight competition for second too, but you know, there's 18 holes and it's a 9-stroke differential, so that's what, 200% of the chances they need to make up that differential. You never know what can happen in disc golf, especially at the Vic Open. All right, hole one, let's do this. We've got a 208 metre par 4 coming up through this tunnel. Most of these players will be wanting to get right up to the end here, as we see a few of Steve Monaghetti's proteges running past up the end of the fairway there, about where they want to get it to. There's another one there. So you want to get up to here, you've got a Mando that you've got to go round to the right of just at this last tree, and then the basket tucked up here on the right-hand side of this track. So a tough little par 4 to start our, their Vic Open final round with, and we're running up to the basket here.
Absolutely. Looking to get away with either a par or even the elusive birdie on this hole will be a great start to these guys' rounds. Matty getting us started here with his forehand.
Interesting play.
Just a little nose up. He dropped down pretty early, so we'll see what he can scramble from there.
It's tough cabbage up there, isn't it, on this hole?
Absolutely. Like, getting off the fairway, you really find trouble very quickly.
Robinson just smooth as butter in the warm-up there.
Absolutely. Looking to smooth this Ballista Pro down the fairway. And does so pretty well. Just turned it over a touch. He'll also find some gap through there. Back to the basket.
He'll have a shot. He'll have a look. Jade throwing something probably Indiana Jones would say should be in a museum.
Yes, that is an Echo DD3. He's nice blue one. You'll be seeing a lot of that today. For shots pretty much like that. Straight down the guts. Up there, good enough.
That's as good as you want to do on this hole, isn't it?
Absolutely. Anything really with a look where you can start to flex around or have a straight shot to that basket is ideal. Chris here throwing his TD2, or for those disc maniacs, it is a old school Fever.
Right.
Very, very flippy distance driver. As you can see from that extreme hyzer angle down the guts.
You do get some interesting play off the fairway on this hole.
That's what we need off the tee.
If you throw it low. Nobbles coming around with that forehand there, hoping to skip right into the basket.
think you'll find the basket's actually around to the
I'm,
left.
I'm disoriented there, aren't I?
That's alright. I think hitting so early, playing for par is the smart play there. And I feel like he acknowledged that and just pitched out to somewhere safe. Paddy, on the other hand, going to try and give it a run here through that gap. Navigates the early trees well. And just pushes a bit too straight there. He should have a look, but I don't think it's quite what he was after.
Can get some skip getting around that back way there, which I'm sure he was hoping for. Jade just pushing it around, taking the same route and getting a little bit of that skip we talk about. Lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris a bit cut off here with that Mando. We'll have to go the wide line and see if he can skip something back across. And just pushes it a bit too straight there. Gets a bit of a skip around, but he'll have a little chip approach.
Now Mr. Noblet approaching the basket.
Skips quite a way past. His zone just catching edge there.
Interesting ground play.
Absolutely not what he would have had in mind. Chris adapts well there and puts it close.
Paddy with a long look.
Geez, that's a very good spin putt into that headwind. Didn't look too far off, especially for these first putts.
Just like that.
Absolutely drains it. That's a great starting putt there from Nobbles, and I'm sure he'll be very happy to escape with the par after that drive.
After the drive, and he gets a reverse parked. Well deserved, taking a par on that hole. I'm happy with a bogey on that hole, Kyle. I don't know about you.
Yeah, look, I've taken bogey a few too many times on that hole to not be okay with it, so...
Jade just outside the circle.
Just outside the rim. Paddy, smooth as, no issues. Taps in for his par. As Chris just goes here to also tap out. Pretty routine here for these MPO guys. Lovely. And Jade doing likewise for his par. So, like we said in the whole flyover, these guys taking pars is a pretty good outcome as we move on to hole 2. 100 metre par 3 here, shaping up for the righty flex forehand here. For the lefty, it's the flex backhand. Nearly confused myself there.
You did. Not much comes after flex other than forehand, Kyle.
Well, regardless, they're going to try and get through here, try and pass through all of those trees. Really just want to get that initial height and turn right. As Nobbles has done nicely, hopefully get a nice skip. And he will very much like that. Hopefully Paddy can replicate here. Pushes it a bit straighter, possibly a bit nose up, but pushed through a lot of that stuff. I think he'll have a putt there.
Yeah, if he's gotten around that tree, he'll be in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a super long par 3, just long enough that if you get a good rip on it, you'll be somewhere in the vicinity. As Jade hits a bit of an early tree there.
Best dressed player on this card today. Chris steps up.
Still throwing that fever and turns beautifully.
Stunning. Lovely. That'll be a putt.
3 pretty good drives there, and we'll see if Jade can join them up on the dance floor there and make his up and down for par.
Lovely.
Trying to hit P1X. Nice and flippy putter there. Does nicely.
Putty Robinson here.
Nice
Tapping that in
birdie.
for a lovely birdie.
Absolutely.
Going to assume that was a dagger.
Dagger in the heart of the basket, absolutely. Jade also converting on that scramble. Channeling some Paul Macbeth, finding centre change there as well is Matty Nobbles. Chris, the closest of the bunch.
go.
Pretty well played there from the card, aside from Jade's bit of a wayward drive. About as well as you could expect to get through there. Speaking of getting well through there.
This is my favourite hole on the course. Hole 3, we got an 82 metre. It's a reasonably slight downhill into a green where you don't want to hit that green too hard because it will skip along. It will skip long and give you a pretty tricky putt.
Yeah, I think most of these guys looking to throw a mid-range down the guts there on a slight bit of turn.
It's a nice little buzz there.
Yeah, not much wind out there, boys.
So fade back in and check up. Should be in a nice spot.
Pretty good there. Basically, so long as you navigate these early trees, you'll have a decent look at the basket. Are you just making a mistake of pushing it a bit too straight and kicking over towards hole 2's green?
Can give you a nice look at the basket there for a long putt, or throw in if you mean. I can't putt that one.
Here, just a bit too high. Really just flirting with that ceiling and getting a bit unlucky and dropping down.
Atta baby.
Jade corrects nicely. Perfect height and should just scuttle up there next to the green.
Yeah, Paddy with that long look. We're easing it up there. Lovely touch from Paddy there.
Chris possibly giving this a bit of a bid with that long spin putt that he has. See what he can manage. Bit of a half bid, but making sure of that part.
Wussed out the last split second.
Paddy about the same.
Yeah, no real fireworks on this hole so far. We'll see if Paddy can convert on this scramble.
Ouch. Unlucky there for Paddy. Shooting the cage as Jade puts that birdie in, and it's a lovely birdie to get on this hole. It really is.
Yeah, picking up some strokes on at least the card, let alone the lead card. As Paddy finishes off that bogey and basically just...
Just wanders off, doesn't he? He knows where the next tee is, and he's going to meet his caddy there.
Absolutely, he'll have to consult the bag of discs that he's got and ask them, which one am I throwing this time on this 105 metre par 3. Trying to go through either the left gap out through the trees or this right gap, which I think Jade will demonstrate. This sneaky backhand down the right hand side. Brings a few of those early trees into play, but if you navigate through, you can end up towards the edge of the circle there.
Yeah, he's taken a late tree there, but just snuck in for a par, I think. Matt takes the outside route with the forehand and just rolls himself into the circle for a putt.
Chris bucking the trend here, going for that turnover again. Really giving that fever a good run going in this round. Looks like it's turned over pretty nicely. Just going to fade out mid-circle too.
Paddy's going quite wide here.
And navigates the early trees well. We'll see if he can get through.
Yeah, shot, Paddy.
Jeez, that's a nice shot there.
Paddy's doing Paddy things. Chris with an outside of circle look. Easing it up there. And we'd already cashed up the birdie before it was even in the basket.
Look, it looks really good out of the hand, and I think the graphics only really telling the same story. That nice floaty spin putt.
And that's what they want, isn't it? They want to get themselves a reverse parked replay early in their round.
Absolutely. Rack up those highlights early and keep them rolling. Jade also gives it a good bid, just not quite getting the drop that he was after. Paddy there again. Another good long putt. Really making a strong start to this final round. Paddy looking to cash in this birdie as well. No worries.
Taking that one beautifully, and a pretty safely well played hole from the card, I'd have to say, as they walk off to the hole 5 as Jade taps in for his par.
Yeah, look, no real damage through these first 4 holes, which is nice, and start to open up a bit on this 206 metre par 4. Start to throw some more open shots here in this later half of the 9. Really just want to get as far off the tee as possible and kind of just work your way up the fairway. Plenty of options, no real lines as such.
Yeah, there's plenty of open spaces to give yourself here to just throw a nice open second shot. You know, choose whichever shot you want.
Matty,
really.
that's
And he puts himself in a nice spot out there to the left.
Absolutely. Chris is here just a little not enough turn.
baby.
Gonna fade out into that pine tree. Oh, looks to have got a get out of jail free card there with that kick.
I've played this second shot from there a few times over the years. Well,
Navigates that first tree pretty well. We'll see how this flexes out. Oh, just catches that later tree.
Jade lining up something big.
A good bit of turn on it. Maybe a little bit too much as it just cut rolls down there into that little valley. Chris with a pretty open look, albeit a long one. Throwing his pecker. Just yanks it a little bit right. Gets through a lot of those trees, so he should have some sort of long look, but not quite what you're after. Jade throwing that pity 2.
Right into it. Get lucky.
Just snuck through those
Slid up
trees.
there, yeah, he's got through those trees, got a nice amount of turn on it and slid through those trees nicely. Paddy going a forehand route. Just to slide it along that tree line, in behind that unused basket. It's just on circle's edge or just outside, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. As Matt also going with that forehand there. Bit of flex out of the hand. So looking very good and nearly collects the basket on its way through.
That's his reward for skipping off the concrete of the basket is you're on circle's edge, champ. Good luck to you. Chris.
Another very good look. I feel like I'm
Almost
going
done
to be
it again.
saying it along.
We didn't cash that one up before it was in the basket. Jade with a long look, scaring the chains also.
A couple of very good long distance putts so far we've seen during this round. Just a matter of time before one of them drops. Paddy's just doesn't quite drop enough.
And Mr. Noblet.
Looking to rack up another good birdie here. Just a bit too much on that high side. And pretty routine tap-ins from here out to the card. Probably not as many opportunities taken as they would like to, but again, story of this front 9 is get through without much damage and score around that back 9.
An attack around the back 9, yeah. You see them heading off to hole 6. Just having a word with Caddy Robinson there. We move into hole 6. There's a 192 metre par 4. There's a million different ways that these guys can play this hole. I've seen some rollers on this hole getting to about here for a nice upshot. I've seen some people go out the back, and I've seen them go around the outside to this basket that's guarded by this ceiling, thick ceiling to that basket just there. So Matty taking a forehand route off the tee.
Yeah, looking to just flex something probably over those trees and down the top of it a little bit. And
Oh, yeah.
looks like he's done that pretty well.
Nice spot.
That slip didn't matter.
Yeah, probably the more traditional route on this hole of getting
Definitely.
into the tunnel. I
This
think we're
looks
going to see.
interesting.
Yeah, he's Star X Cal here for Chris. We got a roller. catches that low-hanging brand. It's not often you can say that for a roller. Paddy also going high turnover. Just got to get enough turn on it. And he's navigated that beautifully. And Jade really rounding out the variation here, going roller.
Roller down the outside route. He wants to miss that tree.
Yeah, a bit of a nasty, very high kick there. Took quite a bit off it, but
It's always the risk reward, isn't it, with that roller? And there's very high rewards for a roller that stands up beautifully on this hole. As Chris navigates that tunnel, ceiling, fades out a bit right, turns it over a bit right there towards our catch cam Phil Morgan.
Jade looking to re-enter this tunnel here, really just looking to navigate the ceiling. Does so nicely with that crowned eagle MD3. Maybe leaving himself a nice hyzer, looking for some ground play. It's quite a bit of it.
Yeah, it's one thing you can usually count on at Victoria Park in Ballarat on these holes where you see any worn brown earth is quite a bit of ground play, but a lot of bang for your buck if you can hit the ground just right.
Absolutely, especially this time of year with a lot of those leaves dropping to the floor. You've got a nice slippery little notion as Paddy runs a bit long there for his third. Chris with another long look at birdie. I'm sensing a trend here.
It's beautiful to watch, isn't it?
Come on.
It's like a conductor just waving the violins into the orchestra, that wrist flick, as Matty floats another one in.
He's had a very strong start to this front nine. He's not setting it fully alight, but definitely making some forward progress here.
As Paddy does the angry roadie, as I call it, and hits the band. Jade catching in that birdie.
Yeah, good birdie to pick up this one. It's not typically known for its separation, but look, a couple of wayward shots here and there, some ceiling issues, it can quite easily get away from you. Chris does no such thing. And we move into hole 7 at 188 metres. The main issues here, this initial gap and not ending up under or in front of a tree here, as we look to push out a hyzer of some description around these last trees into this very exposed basket. Probably one of the biggest issues on this hole is just how exposed that is.
And it's actually a lot further back. As Matty gets through the initial gap nicely, he's probably going to push past that tricky tree in the middle there for a nice hyzer in, but that basket is a lot further back than it looks on that drone flyover. I say right, it's not.
No.
Jade hits an early tree. It's not 50 metres back, but it's a lot deeper into that tree to navigate than it looks like.
Yeah, Chris looking to just get out there with that X-Cal again, going with another inventive roller. And this one's just going to curl up a bit too quick into those trees over there. See what he's got from jail. That tree is not particularly very nice. He's throwing another one of these Ballista Pros. Beautiful through the gap there. That's
What's been
pretty much ideal. Jade hoping this roller can advance him up the fairway to save par. Looks to have stood up pretty well.
Yep, he should have a nice hyzer into the basket there. Chris looking to invent something here.
I always find it difficult with those limbs in your backswing to actually commit to a shot, but he's done that fairly well.
This is a sneaky backdoor into this green if he can get through there.
Key word there being some forward advancement. Paddy making it look smooth. Putting it to just inside circle's edge there for a birdie look.
Straight over to his head.
Low out of the hand. Just needs to keep floating and not quite getting there. as you mentioned before, it's a bit further back there, and I think that slope really just exaggerates exactly.
It rewards a big pushing hyzer in, like Jade's just shown us. Wow. Some very, very scared chains. But rewards that big pushing hyzer in. But anything else, there's that wind that you've just seen push Chris's disc up there. So it can do some weird things coming into this green to a throw that hasn't got enough on it.
Yeah. Get a bit of a roll away there from that long bid. Not ideal. As this for the par comebacker.
Oh, really?
Just a tad short.
Tad short. It is. If you look at that flag on top of the basket there, there was a bit of a wind this day, so it's a very exposed green that can be difficult to putt into, but Chris does not make it look difficult, does he?
No,
Just
look,
conducting those violins into the basket again beautifully.
And from where that drive was, both Chris and Jade, those are some very quality par saves.
Oh,
Beautiful.
here's to you, Mr. Robinson.
Erases that last bogey and hopefully starts some forward momentum there for Paddy.
And that just putting in that bogey and moving on to hole 8. This 175 metre par 4, getting out that initial, well, it's sort of a tunnel, and we want to get up to around here for a nice little hyzer into this green, which is situated just behind this this clump of trees here. You'll see there. There is a sneaky forehand route out to the left, which I'm hoping someone takes, so I can prove to a few of my card mates that it's actually there. Paddy goes high. And he has got a long way down there.
Yeah, look, pretty much, so long as you're not in the trees down there, really can't go wrong off this tee shot. Just kind of changes how much hyzer that second shot is. There's Jade follows similarly, a bit more of a low line.
I was going to say, surprise, surprise, Jade's thrown another laser beam.
Yeah.
Just with that roller again.
This stood up a lot better than that last one. Just curls up in the middle of the fairway there.
Here we go. We might see this big forehand line.
Oh, as a lefty, I'm very happy to see Novels indulging my own line. Oh, and that is quite turned over out of hand. Maybe just rolled the wrist a bit. Like we said before, a lot of open space out there, so he should have something.
Yeah, a bit of settle down out of that series.
Just
Chris with the shot you want off the tee.
really only goal is push through those trees, and he does so nicely. He's actually not much for the birdie, really.
Much. I could probably make that, I'd say. 50-50.
Matt going
Like a
tomahawk.
tomahawk, didn't it?
Yeah, this is his Nuke SS over the trees there. As he's in up edge of circle, that's
Yep.
honestly, I'm very impressed with the result that it was short of the basket rather than long.
Yeah.
It is not a big window.
Boys just making this look easy. Is that 3 bullseyes?
Yeah.
180?
That goes pretty well. Paddy looking to make it 2 in a row here. Start some momentum. And looking good.
That's the Paddy Robinson we know and love.
Absolutely. Chris looking to follow suit. And
That was like at my feet, yeah.
And Chief Novels after that tomahawk just throwing that like a crushed up Coke can into a recycling.
Hold up in the fucking t-shirt.
And fixes up the chains for the lead card coming through. And Jade.
absolutely. Yeah, Jade missed his second shot there, but really routine with that MD5, puts it under the basket. Speaking of under the basket, we're hoping that they can get pretty close to this 400-foot par 3. Really, again, a lot of lines to hit. The main one for these right-handers is just a little bit of turn out of the hand and fade back around those guardian trees, as basically Paddy does perfectly.
Oh yeah, Paddy.
Even going a bit long there.
That's just showing off, really, isn't it?
Yeah, Ballista Pro just doing too much.
Oh, it's another laser beam from Jade.
Oh, I like that too. Come on.
Fade in
Right next to Paddy.
and skip up nicely to the basket.
Oh man.
It's the kind of shot you go home and think about at night, isn't it? You go, I did that.
Yeah, that's the one that keeps you coming back right there.
It is. Nice little bit of flip up from Chris and a bit too much turnover to the end.
Yeah, probably the big issue here on this hole is that tree right in front of Matty Noblet's there. It blocks a lot of the wind, really makes it difficult to kind of feel what's going on out there.
If you're not looking at that last clump of trees, it's you can get a bit of a dodgy wind read. As Chris almost does it again. He's enjoying himself out there.
Gonna make another one of these long ones. Oh, just catches some weak sunshades there.
Give it a long look. And easy as you like.
It's the best comebacker I've seen all morning. That is a comebacker right off the tee, you reckon?
Come back at, yeah, come back. Well, he's gone long, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
We've got to assume it was an ace run. He missed the ace, so it's a comebacker. Yeah.
Jade also tapping in that birdie. A couple of good birdies on this hole. It's not super often that you see the birdie, but a couple of very well executed shots. So,
as we have a look at our leaderboard as we move into the back nine. But at the end of the front nine, we've got Luke Bain still out in front. Austin D'Alessandro on that lead card has had a bit of a round on the front nine and caught him up. So 7 strokes behind there. And then we've got the Texas section of the leaderboard behind Luke Bain. We've got Austin, Dallas, and Blake Houston, or Houston as he says it, there at 18 down, coming in third place. And young unknown player by the name of Tim Bowen, having a round and up at neg 17. Our boys, best of our boys, Jade, Brady, and Paddy and Matty tied at 5th.
and then Chris bringing it up at 8th with a pretty handy 3 down for the front 9.